the main point of bringing everyone together is that we should have an awareness about the focal point of our Avodas Hashem, which really should be Har HaBayis, whether you hold from like the opinions that it's not proper to go up to Har HaBayis, or you hold that it is proper. Everyone should have a feeling of, as the pasuk says, Nichsefa v'gam kalsa nafshi v'chatzos Hashem, should have a feeling of longing, of yearning for the Har HaBayis. So we heard a few months ago from Harav Silvetsky from Merkaz Harav, who gave a very interesting shiur on the topic, and also had a presentation and showed why he thought that halachically, and why his rabbeim felt halachically was not proper to go up to Har HaBayis. And we wanted to people that from the shul who do go to Har HaBayis wanted to hear another view on the subject. So Pנחs Abrahmovich was kind enough to come and join us. Pנחs is a Avrech in the Zilberman Kollel in the Old City. He learned in Brisk. How many years he learned in Brisk? 4 years. And has been going up to Har HaBayis and leading tours up to Har HaBayis. Put up at this nice Sefer Katan for 10 shekel you could pick up on all kinds of nice things about the Hamikdash and Har HaBayis. So without further ado, Pנחs, take it away.
Just introduce myself. My name is Pנחs Abrahmowitz. I live in Sharai, originally from New York. I spent the last some time studying, learning different sugyas regarding this Hamikdash, and in particular the location of the Makam HaMikdash on Har HaBayis itself. We'll talk about the Makam HaMikdash. There's many things to talk about, but tonight we'll try to focus on the location of the Makam HaMikdash on Har HaBayis. It's a sugi that sometimes causes confusion, different shitas, kashas, people often get a little mixed up. We'll try to learn the sugi together tonight, and hopefully we'll get to some clarity. Of course, it's impossible to go through every last shita and thing that was said about the Makam HaMikdash. We'll try to do the basics, and hopefully we'll reach some clarity. The pasuk says, "Kim el hamakom asher yibchar Hashem Elokeichem mikol shivteichem, osum eshmo yisham." The place where Hashem chooses to rest His name there. The shichnoi tidrishu uvasa shamo. You should seek the Shechina and come there. Chazal tell us that one of the things of seeking the Shechina, how we kind the tidrishu, the looking, searching for the Shechina, is actually the search of where is the Makam HaShechina, where is the location of the Makam HaShechina on the Har HaBayis. Chazal tell us there's a sefri on this pasuk, Yochel Tamtim Ad Sheyovel Lecha Navi. You shouldn't build the Beis Hamikdash until the Navi tells you where is the Makam to build the Beis Hamikdash. Tamladoima l'shichnoi tidrshu uvasa shamo. Droish, you shall seek umetzoi and find, and then the Navi will tell you. The Malbim says on the Sefri, explains it, that Gilo Bekansh, that Kodesh Baruch Hu will not be Megala Soidoi of where the Makam HaMikdash is until we from ourselves try to find a place. We derish it on our own, and when we search for the Makam HaShechina, then Hashem will send the Ruach Milamalo to help us in finding the Makam HaShechina and the Makam HaMikdash. So what we're doing tonight in trying to find the precise location of the Beis Hamikdash is actually a mitzvah of the Shichnoi Tidrishu Vasa Shama. So let's leave it hand this mitzvah. We start with talking about the various sections on Har HaBayis, each with its own level of kedusha. Sometimes we look at Har HaBayis as one big thing, one kedusha, Har HaBayis, and it has halachos of Shiluach Tmeim, we'll get to it soon. But actually the Mishnah Maseches Keilah mentions 8 different levels, 8 different areas, each with its own level of kedusha within the Har HaBayis itself. In other words, there's divisions of kedusha within the Har HaBayis itself. And let's first talk about some of those levels, and then we'll try to place where those areas are exactly on Har HaBayis today. So of course the basic chalukah, the basic division is of the 3 machnos. Starts in the Midbar, Machne Yisrael, of the 12 Shvatim around the Mishkan. Klal Yisrael, where they camped in the Mishkan, was in the Surah of 3 rings. Machne Yisrael on the outside ring. In the middle was Machane Leviyah, the Leviyim and Moshe Rabbeinu and his family, and at the very center was Machane Shechina, the Mishkan and the Chatzar Mishkan. When Klal Yisrael went into Eretz Yisrael, so although they no longer reside in the Tzura of 3 rings, but the concept of the Machanois traveled over them to the city of Yerushalayim. When the city of Yerushalayim becomes Machane Yisrael, Har HaBayis, it's just for illustration purposes, this is not exact, what's on here is not exactly the Gvulos of Yerushalayim, Har HaBayis, but so Yerushalayim becomes Machane Yisrael, Har HaBayis gets the halacha of Machane Leviyah, and the Azara, within it, the building of the Beis HaMikdash itself and the Mizbeach, that is then Machane Shechina. Each one has its own halacha. Machane Yisrael and Mitzorah is the most severe tumah for these purposes, and therefore Mitzorah is not allowed in the entire Machane Yisrael, and is not allowed into the city of Yerushalayim. Har HaBayis is also for what's called Tumas HaYotzes Migufoy. The pasuk says Zav. Zav is a sickness. The Rishonim say Achodi Kove from the Klei Azera, it's called gonorrhea. It's very uncommon amongst our societies. Perhaps in more immoral societies, it's more common, like in Africa. But because it's very uncommon, and therefore already in the Sugyas and the Mishnayos and the Gemara say that we don't really have to be precious to the Ziva unless someone knows that he's sick. But Chazal tell us that in Zav is also included other tumas which are called tumas hayotzes mibufa, which means that he's not coming because he touched something, like he touched the sheres or touched the mace, but rather the tumah generates from within. That includes zav, a zava, a nida, a yoledes, and the Gemara says also valkeri. All these tumas are called tumas hayotzes minaguf, and they're also to go into the Har HaBayis. I'm going to go through all the definitions of all the tumah and all the halachas of Tara. I'm going to focus more on the location, but if anyone's planning to go to Har HaBayis, we should talk to Rav to make sure they know everything about the Hilchos Tara. So, tumas hayotzes min haguf are not allowed into the entire Har HaBayis. A Tmei Meis, someone who went to the mikveh and he's Torah, is just coming because he's a Tmei Meis, he's allowed on the Har HaBayis, he's just not allowed into the Azara, which is Machane Shechina. The Azara is the section, the very center of the Beis HaMikdash, within it the building of the Beis HaMikdash and the Mizbeach, and its chotzer, that's called the Azara. And Tmei Meis is allowed on Har HaBayis, but not into the Azara. Just the different areas of the Har HaBayis itself. The Mishnah tells us that Har HaBayis was 500 square of 500 amas by 500 amas. The Har HaBayis that we see today is a lot larger than that, almost double. And we'll talk about it more soon. Why is it so much bigger? It's basically because around 100 years before, towards the end of Bayesheni, Herod the Great, Ozdus HaMelech extended, when he renovated the Beis HaMikdash, also extended the mountain by making arches and landfill. Either way, then therefore Har HaBayis today is much bigger than 500 amas. But the original Har HaBayis, the Kedusha is a 500 amas square. Within it is the Azara. That's the main. In the Azara is the building of the Beis HaMikdash itself and the Mizbeach. To its east is the Ezras Noshim, 135 amas by 135 amas, and surrounding these two Azaras, Azara and the Ezras Noshim, is what's called the Chel. The Chel is sort of a buffer zone of 10 amas, that people shouldn't come very close to the wall of the Azara itself, and therefore there was like a strip of 10 amas around these two Azaras, surrounded by a little wall called the Surig, like a gate around it, and that's basically the different levels in the different areas in the Har HaBayis itself. There are further divisions which the Mishnah makes, but it's not relevant for our purposes, and I'm sorry we're not going to get into it. So again, we have the Har HaBayis, within it, the Azara, as it's Noshim, surrounded by the Chel. This is the way it is on the model in the Israel Museum. Here you see the Azara, the Beis HaMikdash at the center, where you can't really see the Mizbeach. This is the Ezras Noshim, with the steps going down from the Azara to the Ezras Noshim. And they're surrounded by a Chel and a small wall called the Surig. The first halacha we've already mentioned, which is the halacha d'oraisa. Har HaBayis is called it Mekudesh more than the rest of Yerushalayim, that Zavim, Zavois, Nidois, V'Yodois, Nechnasim L'Sham, any Tuma Yotzis Min HaGuf is not allowed onto Har HaBayis. Midirabbanon, sorry, a Tmei Meis, as we said, is allowed on the Har HaBayis, but he's not allowed into the Azara. The Rabbanon added on that not only is a Tmei Meis not allowed into the Azara, but he's also not allowed anywhere past the Chel, which showed that buffer zone surrounding the Azara and the Zasnoshim was the Chel, so a Tmei Meis is allowed on the Har HaBayis, but not anywhere past the Chel.
So we assume everyone nowadays is Tmei Meis.
So that's over here, Achel Mekudesh Mimenu She'en Goyim U'Tmei Meis Nechnasim L'Sham. Just to mention an interesting thing, the Chel is not only Mekudesh that Tmei Meis are not allowed to go past there, also Goyim are not allowed anywhere past the Chel. Yosef Matisyo, who we should introduce, Josephus Flavius, he was a Kohen from Mishpachas Yona. He served in the Beis HaMikdash. He was one of the generals at the Great Revolt, which led to the Churban. Eventually he crossed the lines and he ended his life in Rome, wrote history books, which we have. In those books he describes in very great detail the Beis HaMikdash, Yerushalayim, and a lot of the information we know about the Beis HaMikdash comes from what he writes, from his books. He says that in the Chel, which was surrounding, in the Surrey that was surrounding the Chel, at various points there was stones with Greek inscription in them, warning Goyim not to go past this gate because they feels like it would be killed because they're not allowed past that point. Around 150 years ago, near the Har HaBayis, they found a stone with a Greek inscription, which says just that no Gentile, this is of course a translation, no Gentile may enter behind this wall, except stones of death. This stone itself is now in Istanbul because it was found in the Ottoman period and that's why it was taken to Turkey. But there's a fragment of a similar stone, just a stone like this, but we found just a fragment, like the middle part, and it's now in the Israel Museum.
That's Duraban.
Right.
They're right to
There's no use of there is no difference about it.
They get Misa space in, or it's like Misa B'nai Shammai?
The difference talk about why was it death.
Yeah, I was dying. Yeah, you never do dying for Misa.
Some say it means Misa B'nai Shammai. Some do explain it that way, but I don't know. I said just to sum up what we've said. Zav, Anida, Yoledes, and Valkyrie, which are Tumis and Yotzis Min HaGuf, are not allowed anywhere on the Har HaBayis. Tmei Meis, Midorais is not allowed into the Azara, and Midirabbanon is not allowed past the Chel. The rest of Har HaBayis outside of the Chel is mutter for Tmei Meis to go. Now we get to the question. The Azara is around 6% of what the Har HaBayis is today. It's a very small portion of percentage-wise of the Har HaBayis that we see. But if we cannot locate where the Azara is on the Har HaBayis, then one would not be allowed to go on Har HaBayis even 2 steps. He wouldn't be allowed to walk in anywhere. Perhaps if he's really where he's going in, he's walking into the Azara. So if someone has no idea where the Azara is, he can't go anywhere on Har HaBayis because maybe he's walking into the Azara. In order for it to be mutter to go into Har HaBayis, we would have to pinpoint and locate where is the Azara located within the Har HaBayis. Even if one cannot pinpoint exactly where the Azara is on Har HaBayis, we could take a certain area, let's say over here on the south. We could have an area where we can rule out that the Azara is definitely not there. So even if I don't know exactly where the Azara is, I can then walk in that area since I ruled out that it's definitely not where the Azara is. So what we're going to try to do tonight, we are going to try to locate and pinpoint where the Azara is on Har HaBayis, and we're going to do that. We're going to apply 4 avenues. We're going to 4 different ways that we're going to get to the conclusion or try to where is the Azara on the Har HaBayis. The first way is going to be the Mesorah. Is there a certain place on Har HaBayis that people knew it was passed down generation to generation from the Orban to us? Just like we know where Israel is, and we don't think that maybe it's one of the islands off Greece, or we know where Yerushalayim is, we know where Har HaBayis is, perhaps we also know where the Beis HaMikdash stood on the Har HaBayis. That's one. second thing we're going to do, we're going to take the Korot that we have from Chazal. We have Mishnayos Midas, which tells us a lot of different things about the Beis HaMikdash, including different Lashachos. The Beis HaMikdash was built at different levels, we'll see. We're going to take the information we have from Maseches Midas and try to compare it to the mountain as we know it today, and see where does it fit on the mountain, where does it not fit. Try to figure it out from here. The third thing, we're going to bring Mekoros, sources that tell us that the Beis HaMikdash was at the Pisgah, at the summit of Har Moriah. So again, we're going to try to locate where's the summit of Har Moriah, and that again should indicate to us where's the Makam HaMikdash on Har Bayis. And finally, we'll get to Mimtzeim HaShetach, which is sort of landmarks that we can say on Har Bayis, okay, I see this wall or this board or something that I could connect to the buildings, to the Azoras of the Beis HaMikdash. And then that again will indicate to me where the Makam HaMikdash is based on the things that we find, that we know from Chazal where they are in relevance to the Mikdash.
Do you give any credence to archaeologists?
Yeah. That's it. But, when we say that we're looking for the Makom HaZorah on Har Bayis, we can try to locate that by one of two ways. We can either try to locate the Azara in full, if someone tells us where the Makom HaZorah was on Har Bayis. Another way is by locating the Even HaShasiyah. Even HaShasiyah is not notion Shtiyah, it's not drinking, it's really Even HaShetayah, which is Even of a Tashtit. It's a foundation stone, which Kipshuta is the foundation stone of the Oren. The Oren with the Luchas in it stood on the Even HaShtayah, on the Even of Tashtit. Chazal tell us that it's Mimenu Hushtat Olam, it's the foundation stone of the entire creation. In the Kodesh HaKadoshim, where the Even HaShtayah was in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, HaShtayah was an outcropping of rock that was in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Based on the knowledge we have from Maseches Midos, we know where the Even HaShtayah is. If we can find out where the Even HaShtayah is, we can then know that that area is the Kodesh HaKadoshim. To its east is the Heichal, the Ulam, and we can draw the Azaras around that stone, around that place, around that point, based on the knowledge we have from Maseches Midos. So if someone tells us where the Even HaShtayah is, that will also be sufficient for us to find out where the Azara was on the Har Bayis.
Because they were exact measurements.
Because there were exact measurements that we know from the Quran. So let's first just take a look at Har Bayis, and this is looking at Har Bayis from the northeastern corner. This is the eastern wall, שערי right over here. So this is the east wall, the southern wall of Har Bayis, and this is the western wall of Har Bayis. The western wall of Har Bayis is more commonly known as the Kuslam Arabi, of course, but actually the plaza where people daven is just 1/8 of the wall over here. The wall is a very long wall, 488 meters, almost a half a kilometer long, which goes across the whole Har Bayis. So again, these three walls, west, south, and east, are the original walls still there from the time of the Beis HaMikdash. The upper rows were renovated by later generations, but the lower rows are still there from the time of the Beis HaMikdash itself. On the north, not so much is left, only a few remnants of the wall.